everybody. God bless you. This is your sister and your friend, Minister Raquel Pittman, and I am so happy for you to be able to join us live. Yes, I said live and in vivid color for Everyday Voices, where everyday people are doing extraordinary things. And I want to let you know today that you are extraordinary. As I said it, you are extraordinary. And I want somebody to type that in the live chat right now. Say, I am extraordinary. And so we have this forum for people that are doing life every day, but they do some very extraordinary things. And I want to welcome you to our very first live broadcast for this year. I have been extremely busy this year. I wanted to come on earlier in this year, but as we know, life happens, ministry has been happening. And so I was not able to do Everyday Voices before this time, but I'm so glad that I am able now to pick back up this live broadcast where I can bring people to you that can help you to go to your next level, because uncompromised ministry is about the spiritual joining the natural, the spiritual joining principles and practical application so that you can be successful in your marketplace assignment and in ministry. And so again, I want to welcome all of you that may be watching now or watching later. Now listen, if you're watching live right now, I want you to comment, put in the chat. I want you to share this live broadcast because you are about to get some information that's going to help you to take your career, to take your resume writing to the next place, right? And I'm super excited about the guest that's going to be coming on tonight. They are very skilled. They are very lively, and they are experts in their particular fields. And I'm so grateful to have both of them here tonight. But before we get into that, I want to just share a couple of announcements. Listen, those of you that follow me and follow my ministry, Uncompromised 2023 is here. Come on, let's give God a praise that we are here at the time for our yearly gathering where I bring together ministry and marketplace leaders. Yes, there's the flyer. We want you to save the date for Uncompromised 10 times better. That is the year. That is the theme God gave me for this year, that we are supposed to be 10 times better in every field, every calling, every industry that God has called us to, based upon Daniel 1 and 2. And we want to invite you to make sure that you don't miss out on what I believe is going to be one of the best, unprecedented, uncompromised we have seen to date. We have some great guests that are coming. The final flyer with all of the speakers are coming out tomorrow. So watch my Instagram page. I want you to watch my Facebook page. The final flyer is coming out December 9th. You do not want to miss this. And listen, while we are in the month of October, we still have 31 coming into the month of October. We have an early bird special of only $129. Yes, $129 for the VIP package. There are perks. You get early seating, you get lunch, you get t-shirts, you get a special gift package, and you will have access to all of the sessions that will happen that day. And those of you that say, I can't do the $129, we want to invite you that we have a special price right now of $99 for the day that includes your lunch only for the first 30 people. And you know the slots are already going. So we don't want you to miss out. This is a nominal fee that we have actually have to register people because we're in a hotel. But I know that this is going to be an investment that you will not regret. Come on, we do everything else we want to do with money. Invest in you. Invest in your life. Is your life worth $129? Is your life worth that maybe one moment in a session, one moment of someone laying hands on you, one moment of a prophetic utterance being given to you can shift your life, can shift your career, can shift your business? Isn't that worth the investment? So we want you to be a part, and don't miss it. Go to my Facebook page where you can click on the link. You can find where the flyer is and click on the Brushfire link, and it will take you into Brushfire where you can register. And we don't want you to miss out. That is December 9th. It is happening at the New York LaGuardia Marriott, one of the premier, most beautiful hotels in New York City. We are going to be there all day long, starting at 9 o'clock in the morning to about 11 o'clock at night. And we have some powerful speakers, human resource leaders, prophets are coming, apostles are coming, and we are so glad that we're going to be able to impart into your life that day. And again, also, I did not remember until it came back to my remembrance that we have been doing Uncompromised now for 7 years. 7 years. 7 is God's number of perfection. And we're so thankful to God for 7 years of ministry. And so on November the 10th, Friday night, we have this special service, this celebration of our anniversary, as well as a pre-conference gathering with this mighty man of God called Pastor Mark Moore. And listen, if you do not know who he is, look him up on Facebook and YouTube. He is a powerful pastor and leader. He hosted, I think last year was the last year, because his responsibility has grown in ministry, where now he is pastoring multiple sites. And so he had to, I guess, put off doing this conference, but he had a conference where he brought people from across the nation. His conference hosted about 5,000 people. Yes, I said 5,000 people, where he brought ministry and marketplace leaders to impact and empower the body of Christ, to take their mountains, to go into the systems of the world, and to make a difference for the glory of God. And that man of God is going to be with us at not New York LaGuardia, but at my home church, New Greater Bethel Ministries. That is Friday night, November 10th at 7 o'clock. You want to get there early because the seating is limited, and we want to make sure you get there, and all seats are free. Somebody say all seats are free. And so we want you to be a part of that night, and we want you to come for the conference. And I know without a shadow of a doubt, that night is going to be powerful, and we don't want you to miss that night. So Friday night, Friday the 10th, is Pastor Mark Moore. December 9th, Saturday, at the New York LaGuardia Marriott, we are going to be hosting the all-day Uncompromised gathering, where you're going to get your marching orders for the rest of 2024 and beyond. And we believe God is going to do great things. Yes, hey, Jalen. Yes, all seats are free November 10th. Seats are not free for December 9th, but all seats are free for November 10th. And you want to make sure that you are there to be a part of it. So, and your life will never be the same. So listen, I have talked long enough. I am super excited about having these two guests here today. They are both dear to my heart, and I'm so grateful for both of them, who I love. One is my pastor's daughter, and the other is my natural brother, and I'm so glad to have them both come in. I want to invite into the Uncompromised stage for the first time Miss Janelle Boyd and my brother Darren Pittman. Hey,
Hello.
hey,
Hello. Hello.
hello. Yes, we can hear you really good, Darren. Thank
Man.
you. So we're so glad just to have both of you here. And I'm super excited about this conversation. And we're going to talk about why I'm super excited. But, most people that follow my ministry know that I want to bring the spiritual with the practical, because the Bible says that faith without works is dead. And there's some things that we have to pray about. We need to seek God, but then God gives us tools. He gives us resources. He gives us people. He gives us books to help us to apply the things that we need to know in order to execute in the systems of the world. And so you guys are going to help us to unpack what it will take. Again, my theme this year is 10 times better, taken from Daniel 1:20. And I'm super excited. I'm a lover of Daniel, because Daniel showed us how it was done and should be done in the marketplace. When you're in ungodly systems, how you can excel, how you can prosper and be all that God called you to be, even in opposition and even in places where we're not supposed to thrive. But with the blessing of the Lord and the grace of God, we can always excel and prosper. Amen.
Amen.
I want you guys to introduce yourselves and tell them why I have you here. Janelle, tell us who you are and tell us what you do and what makes you an expert in this area.
All right. Well, hi, I'm Janelle. I'm a senior technical talent partner, DIB advocate at Double Verify. I recruit senior staff and manager level software engineers for my organization. I have over 8 years of experience in staffing in also recruiting industry. I first started within staffing agencies, and now I just recruit for a company. So I see both sides, work with multiple companies. I've learned so much, and I'm excited to share.
Oh, that's so awesome. And hey, listen, everybody, this is my baby brother. Yes, my baby brother, Mr. Darren Pittman. And Darren, tell us who you are and what makes you an expert in this area, besides telling me what to do about my resume. Tell me why you're an expert.
Hello everyone. Professionally, I am a technology slash IT slash software trainer for a law firm. I've been an IT professional for over 20 something years. Prior to that, I worked in broadcasting for 8 years. I worked at CBS, NBC, Channel 11, and MSNBC. I actually have a degree in broadcasting with a lot of journalism, communications, writing, and professional business writing classes and experience. I've been helping people with their resumes and prep for interviews for over 15 years now. It's something that comes naturally to me. It's
Yeah.
something that I just really enjoy doing. So hopefully, I can share some things that will really help you.
No, I think you definitely are, and one of the things too, I'm so grateful for your experience, and I'll share a little bit about how you helped me. One of the things I love about Janelle is that Janelle helps you definitely when you get in the door to wow them. Like you have such personality, Janelle, that just amazes me, and so you're
Thank
so
you.
warm and ingratiating, and like I can tell you, like, okay, this is how you present yourself at at an interview. You don't go in looking sullen and sour. You want to win them, and so anyway. So listen, we're going to start. Let me read the scripture where I'm basing, so everybody know the foundation of this of my of the conference is and why we're talking about 10 times better. So it comes from Daniel chapter 7, verse 19. And it says, for these four young men, so it doesn't mean you have to be old for God to impart wisdom. So that's for you, Bree and Jalen, and all those that are watching that are under the age of 30. And it said, for these four young men, God gave them knowledge and skill in all kinds of literature and wisdom. And Daniel also understood all kinds of vision and dreams. And the Bible says, verse 19, the king spoke with them, and among them all, not one was found like Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. That's what we know as the three Hebrew boys. So they were selected and assigned to stand before the king and enter into his personal service. And the Bible says, in all every manner of wisdom and understanding about which the king consulted them, he found them to be 10 times better. 10 times better. That means that they outpaced everyone else. And the Bible
Mm,
says whatever they had on them, it caused them to be selected. And so I want us to talk about what kind of resumes and interviews do we need to have that will cause us to be selected, right? So,
mm,
so Janelle, I'm gonna start with you, and then Darren, you jump in as you need to. But Janelle, let me ask you this question: what makes for a
mm.
10 times better resume? What makes that resume exceptional? What makes it stand out?
Yeah.
Particularly, what kind of interview, what kind of resume would get us in the door?
Okay. Well, you know, honestly, the thing that people overlook would be for it to be well written, meaning your grammar's on point, your spelling's on point, your font size that matters. That if like the company size, if it's 12, it should be 12 all the way down the page, the margins, and it should be simple. So sometimes as a recruiter, there's like colors on the page, your photo. I don't want to know what you look like. Like, I just want to know, do you have the skills? They should put the things that matter
That's good.
most up front. So if it requires your degree, you want to put it up there. If it requires a certain skill set in your skills tab, you want to put it up there. You want to make sure your sentences make sense. You want to make sure that it's in a bullet point form, that it's just clean. Like, as a recruiter, I'm looking at hundreds of resumes.
Right.
I don't have time to decipher like it's Da Vinci Code. It should just jump off the page, right? I should know you do this, you worked here, your dates need to make sense. Some people they got promoted in one company, but I don't really understand. It should be clear. So, a good way to do that is give it to someone else. Like, it should be cohesive and have some continuity to it. So say, hey, if you had to tell me back my experience, can you tell it to me? And they should be able to tell it back to you. If they can't, that means that it's not written well.
So, and you just said something, and I want Darren to jump in on that. You said something about that I don't need to see a whole, I think now I'm hearing that people are putting their pictures on their resumes, and why, wouldn't that get someone's attention? Does that say, oh, I'm different, or, I'm not the same old?
No, I personally, for me, as a recruiter, I look at it, I don't like pictures. And I think you kind of do yourself a disservice because you don't know who's on the other side and what discrimination that they have. You don't know the unconscious biases that they have. It could be your hair color. You could look like somebody they don't like. You don't know. So it could work in your favor. They're like, oh, she cute, I like her, or it could not. And that's a chance you take. So, and you don't want to be brought along because of the way that you looked. That's why you have a LinkedIn. But I think your resume should read, this is the job you have open, and I have the skills to do it. Because that's all the recruiter cares about. We don't really know if you're the person for the job until you start interviewing. My job is to see enough to tell the hiring manager, she's worth your time, or he's worth your time.
That's good. Darren, what do you say about that?
I would agree with everything Janelle said. It's your resume is not a show. Right? The people in the hiring process are looking to see if your resume closely resembles what they're looking for, right? Okay. And that's what's going to keep their eyeballs on your resume. Okay. Your picture, anything else. The font is Helvetica. They don't care about that, right? Calibri, Times New Roman, 12-point font size, 1-inch margins all the way around, your grammar, you've checked your spelling, so much of that stuff that she just mentioned can eliminate you as a recruiter. They even use software that's kind of weeding out your resume.
Yeah.
So I agree 100%. I don't want to go on because I can go on. So just to answer that part of the question, I agree 100%. Yeah.
Can I add to that?
Yeah, please.
Some things to keep in mind is don't have a funky email like Butterfly Girl 28. It needs to be your name.
Jane Doe. That's real.
Yes.
Oh my God. Please say more about that.
Because what we're looking for is when we're looking at it, who can I work with every day? So I'm looking for the quality of person that you are. I told you as a professional, your first name, your last name, or your initials and a number. It should be clear that, yes, you will stand out if you do that. And I will probably put you to the side. So you want to make sure that you're coming across as a true professional through your resume. If you want to have certifications, you want to put that up there. Things like Microsoft Excel, pivot tables, VLOOKUPs, those, that is what they're looking for. And I also feel like something that people don't realize is your soft skills are a superpower. People can have skills, but they don't know how to work with others. Now, it's challenging to put that in your resume. You really comes through in your interview. But if you are on a cross-functional team, working with different people successfully to complete a goal, you want to put that there.
In the resume.
In your resume. Absolutely. That I collaborate with so-and-so to get things done, because that tells me that's a person who can work with others. That's a person who can collaborate. I'm sure that someone was difficult. They had to work through those. That is something that unfortunately isn't common.
Yeah. And I would not, as a person that's been working over 25 years, and I'm going to ask Darren about this, but I would not think that that's important. I would think of, me being, directing, projects and managing, I would not. And again, okay, I'm going to come back to that because someone might say, well, is that better for someone who doesn't have a lot of job experience to really build up those soft skills and magnify them on the resume as opposed to someone who's been working for 20 years. But Darren, let me ask you about something Janelle just said. Tell me about those words, collaborated, directed. Tell me about action words. How important are those in resume writing?
Well, they're key. To write a good resume, one of the goals should be make sure, if you can, all your bullets start with an active verb.
Mm-hmm.
Directed and implemented, co-developed, right? So that should be like, as you check your resume, are all, not necessarily kind of want to just put tasks, right, to kind of make you look like a task manager. Active
Mhm.
verbs make you look like you're an accomplisher, right? You kind
That's
of have an
good.
accomplishment based resume. So that's
Good.
key, and that all comes with writing your resume. Those active words are key. Absolutely.
And there are
Yeah.
places on the internet we can find where those active words are, like a list. Like,
You can get of course, on the internet, LinkedIn, Indeed. You can get some resume paper, and in the resume packet it'll be active verbs.
wow.
And it just kind of give you examples. A lot of information out there, whether it's a book at the library, a lot of it is free, but you
Okay.
definitely want to use active words, and that enhances your resume. It'll help flesh out your accomplishments, show that you're a well-rounded person. Um, if I can just speak to a little bit what Janelle said earlier about kind of your soft skills, she's absolutely right. Another way you can kind of, and as she said, it kind of gets fleshed out in the interview, but even any training that you've taken, management training, whether it's managing up or managing down, delegating authority.
Yeah, what does that mean? Managing up or managing down for
That
people that
means
may not know.
managing up. Well, managing down is I'm the manager and these are my subordinates, right? That's managing down. Managing up means managing, not managing your manager, but knowing how your manager's management style and what their
Good.
expectation is for you in your role, perhaps over those 5 or 6 people. So maybe you're kind of that mid-level manager, and you've taken a course on managing up, delegating authority, dealing with conflict. So if those are classes that you've taken, not in addition to kind of fleshing that out in the resume, or should I say in the interview, as Janelle
Yeah.
mentioned, you can also put that on your resume, which will kind of give them an idea. Oh yeah, they have these soft skills. They have these cross departmental skills, working with different departments, which is key in today's workforce.
Can I add to the managing
Please.
up? Because in my role, I have to work with hiring managers. Those hiring managers are directors, engineering managers, VP of engineering, SVP of engineering. And in that realm, I'm the specialist. So I manage them. I need this from you. That doesn't work from you. I'm sharing with them and guiding them through it. And so that's another way of managing up, where think about, who am I interacting with? Like, if you have a report that you're over and you have to reach directors, CEOs for them to give you information so you can put it in, like, you are managing that process and dealing with high level senior management. That's a skill. So that kind of dives me into, when you are writing your resume and also preparing for your interview, you need to take a second to assess yourself.
That's what
Not
Darren
just the
says.
hard skills of what you're doing. Oh, I enter this in, I direct this, but like, what value have I brought? What are my footprints that I've left behind me? Right? Like, what process and procedures? This wasn't a part of my role, but I took the initiative to do this. Or this report that took days to get done now takes hours because of something I implemented. Or maybe this was all hard paper and I implemented a software and now the company. So I leave the company, but they're still using it. That's how valuable I am.
So
Like,
good.
that's what they want to know. You're an investment to a company. And I've helped people in the past, and they did some amazing things at the company that they didn't even think about.
Yeah.
It never crossed their mind. Like, so I sit down, I'm like, so tell me about yourself. Tell me what you do. I ask questions. I'm like, do you realize that you were able to do X, Y, and Z? They're like, I guess I am kind of dope. Yes. You need to tell the interviewer that.
No, and go ahead. No, I was saying because my brother has said that to me. He said you need to sit down, and Darren, you could talk about it. He said you need to sit down and write down everything you do. And I don't. I guess there's some things. Once I started to do that, I'm like, oh my god, like you just said, Janelle. I didn't realize I was managing processes. I had to interface with the direct staff and CEOs. Provided conversations and communication with board members, and I didn't think that that was something I needed to put on a resume. I mean, like I said, until I got in an interview. Now, I'm Darren. Do you agree with that, or?
Oh yeah. So as you know, I'll tell anybody, whether you're working now, whether you're unemployed, whether you've been working for 40 years, or whether you're 18 years old, do not shortchange yourself. Okay.
Yes.
And what I mean by that is, and this is something I've done for years. When you're at work, anything you do, write it down. Right? If you make photocopies, write it down. If you order lunch, write it down. If you partner with senior executives to write the yearly budget and write it down, right? And that you have to record all of that into what I call a master resume. And this is just everything I've ever done. And not only that, but I tell people, if your manager goes on vacation twice a year for a week, and you do the night audit twice a year, you do the night audit. Your manager may do it the other 50 weeks of the year.
That's good.
If I've done it one time, I do it. If the company can benefit from asking me to do something that's not in my job description, I'm happy to do it, because on a job, you're either learning, earning, or you should be doing both. But if they ask me to do it, I do it. That's on my resume. The interview person who's interviewing me doesn't need to know that I've only done it twice. They don't. If you get to that point in the interview, which you probably wouldn't, as long as you have the skill set to do it, put it in your resume. So don't shortchange yourself. Everything is important. You may find that a company, there's sometimes things that somebody in the hiring process is going to look at in your resume, and that's going to help get you in the door. An example, you could have been in the Army when you were 20 years old, right? Now you're 45, right? You don't think, why is that important?
Right.
Maybe maybe you did a little research on the company and you see on their website, we support our troops, right? And that may be something, if you have a line of space available in your resume that you're going to send, then drop that line down there in whatever section that is of your resume. Because, or if you've taken some course or some class, I took a CPR AED course, and I'm CPR AED certified. And guess what? You're trying to get a job as an office manager, and they want somebody who has these do-it-all skills. Well, guess what? I'm CPR AED certified. That I may raise my hand when I get in the door. That may make you, make me a little bit more attractive to you. So again, don't shortchange yourself. Everything you do, record it. I sit in meetings sometimes and I listen to my manager talk, and she'll say something and I forgot that I did that right there in that meeting. I'm right there. Yeah, I did that. Not only am I going to have that in my resume, but when review time comes, I have that information.
That part.
No,
and I want to chime in on what Darren just said about, oh my gosh, it just left my brain. You talked about, I should have wrote it down, Darren. You talked about writing, knowing. It'll come back to me. Oh, it was so good.
It's going to come back because that was so good. And I'm flowing right now because I'm veering away from the question. Now, Darren, you brought up something, and Jen, I want to ask you about that. Darren mentioned now, tell me about the importance of researching the company you're applying for.
Thank you. Now, that was telepathy. It was telepathy. Yes. Yeah. It was two things. One, you should have your target companies where you want to work, and then you have the place where you can just send out your resume. But if there are companies that you really want to work, you need to do your research. You need to know, because, hey, here's the thing I did. When I knew there's certain companies I want to work for, I looked at every Black recruiter. Hi, my name is Janelle. I'm interviewing at your company. I put out a nice email, make sure it's grammatically correct, highlighted some reasons why I would be a fit, because recruiters are hungry. I need to find somebody to fill my job. I don't care how they came to me. I just need to fill it. Some people give referral bonuses. So you could say, hey, I just interviewed, or I want to interview at this job. I have these skill sets. And that person will personally refer you within their company so they can get money, and they didn't do no work. It's nothing for them. They don't get penalized for sharing your resume. It is just something that they do. So network, think out the box. How do I get in? Those are your target companies. You can't do that for everyone because who has that time? But when you really want to get into a company, think out of the box. The other thing was, as recruiters, we use keywords. That's how we find good people. So if I'm in technology, so keywords are like everything. If you either code in Java or you don't. But even when it's not tech, we put in keywords. So know what kind of job you want. You should be able to look at those job descriptions and see that they all ask for these 5 things, these 5 skill sets, and make sure those words are throughout your resume. Because what we do is we do a Boolean search. So it's like whatever the skill is, comma, skill, and a parentheses. And then LinkedIn or whatever search engine will just spit out resumes that have that. And you want to be in that bunch. So you want to be able to apply to resumes, but you also want to have a resume that makes recruiters come after you.
That's so good. And that's, I think, been my issue. I feel like my resume hasn't been what recruiters, and that's probably where I need you and Darren to help me to kind of target, because I have so much experience and I'm surprised that I don't have a lot of recruiters coming after me. So I don't know whether I'm not spitting out the right words or... But anyway, I digress. But I mean, because that's so key about doing the research, knowing the company. You don't want to, and then we're going to get into the interview, but you don't want to go into an interview and you have no idea about what their mission is, what they're passionate about. And so you're going in talking just general, and they're like, they have no, if you're talking about social justice and giving back and all of those things, you have no idea. You don't bring those tidbits into the interview. Well, I'm jumping. Before we get into the interview, talk to us about, we talked about the person, like you said, that has a lot of experience. Now, what if the person says, I don't have a lot of work experience? How do I craft my resume? I may be just coming out of college. I may have only done volunteer work at my church. How do I craft a resume for the beginning working person? I'll leave it open. Who wants to take it first?
I'll hop on first. First, did you do internships? You want to add that? You want to put in your volunteer work if that's all that you have. If you're a big thing, when you're in college, people in corporate will talk to you. Like there's people in high places that want to mentor other people that you can reach out. You have to I feel like when you're beginning, if you want to be in corporate, you need to network, and you also need to be humble. Don't sit there and try to get the biggest job. Just get your foot in the door, and the people will see you. They're watching. They're looking. And in those spaces, you find yourself a sponsor, which is someone who will speak about you in the rooms that you can't get access to yet. And then they will have the opportunity to present you with other opportunities. You'll be able to talk to other people and find out where you want to go to next. So in the beginning, just get in the door. A lot of that will be your soft skills, the way you speak to people, the way you dress in your interview, the way you put yourself together, how well your resume is written, your ability to write proper emails, use Excel. Excel will get you into amazing doors. And it's not hard. It's not hard. I'm telling you. Learn VLOOKUPs, learn pivot tables, because people in high places need people who know those skills. So you can support a senior manager, and that will give you access to so much. And so I would say in the beginning, be humble and pay attention to the small details, the way you look, the way you talk, the way you write. And you want to have that professional polish about yourself. And then just be open. Observe, try new things, try new industries. You don't have to figure out your whole life out of college. I got to know exactly what I want to do. You can redefine yourself. I'm about to redefine myself. I've been in a career for 10 years. I'm about to go into something completely different, and I'm excited. So just take the journey. But in the beginning, and then certifications help you. You know, if you be like, I want to get into that industry, I have no experience. Like, if you want to be an engineer, take a boot camp. There's so much you can do on your own where you don't need the experience. Somebody will give you an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be my take. What do you think, Darren?
I agree. You're spot on with everything. Be humble. I think back to that movie, Will Smith, where I think it was called The Pursuit of Happiness, where he basically stood outside these offices, and as the executives were kind of coming in, he stood there and said, "Hi, I'm John, and I'm this is what I do, and I'm not necessarily saying do that, but you can do that in other ways." I don't know. Maybe Janelle knows if you can still call up companies and do what's called an exploratory interview, where they can kind of bring you in and say, "Hey, these are these kind of entry level positions that you may qualify for." But as she mentioned, do gig work, do volunteer work, put stuff on your resume that you volunteered, and as you're seeking work and waiting to get your foot in the door, do work so that shows that you're willing to work hard. You're willing to work for free. You're a go-getter. You're ambitious.
Yeah.
You're not just sitting around waiting. You know what? If I'm an IT professional and I know getting my A+ certification is can be valued as some kind of experience, get that particular certification. So, and those are the kind of things you'll need, especially when you're young, to the work world. But everything Janelle mentioned is spot on.
I got a little bonus. Okay, if you were taking notes, you wanna break this out. Here's a cheat code: temp jobs. Go to an agency. I worked with them for 7 years. You can get your foot in the door and because what happens is it's not a big investment for them. So they will take somebody on a temp for a couple months with no experience, but presents well, and then you get access. They might take you temp to hire, or you're building your resume with temp jobs, and then you can parlay that to get a full-time job. So a lot of people don't talk about that, but that is a way to get your foot in the door. And what Darren said was so powerful is because when I first started, I started copying. I was the copy girl. Wow. And the VP saw me and said, you don't belong there. Because I dressed a certain way, I spoke a certain way. It was very clear. I had a different idea what I wanted to do in my life at the time. But then I took steps above people who were there for 5 and 7 years. Because they were like, how did you get from there to there? And I'm still in the same position because you present different. So be humble. Be humble. Take what they got and then show everyone around you that you don't belong there. You belong up. And somebody will tap you on the shoulder and say, we have another opportunity for you.
I mean, that's so powerful because, like you said, sometimes we have these illusions of grandeur. I hate to say that we are supposed to come out of college and and we may not get the dream job that we've actually went to school for. But let me just go to this just really quickly again, and then go into the interview. But is it hard to craft a resume when you don't have a lot of experience? Is it hard? Is it,
let me it's your resume is going to, at the stage that you're in, it's going to get the attention it deserves. Okay, right? Yeah. So if you don't have a lot of experience, well, you're looking for some kind of entry level kind of work, and that's understood when you're 22 years old. Yeah. They don't expect you to have a lot of experience, but if you have worked at a on campus, you had an on-campus job, or even if you didn't go to college, whatever, as Janelle mentioned, temp work, whatever you can show that shows a work history, a work ethic, that's going to be and should be good enough to get your resume in front of the right people. And if it's written well, and if it's put together well, then everything, that's why I said everything that you do, don't shortchange yourself, because it's all experience. Now, if you're 45 years old and you make $250,000, you're not going to put on your resume that you made copies when you were 19 years old.
Right.
Not going to do that. But when you're 22 years old and you're trying to get that entry level job at Transit, you want to say, I was an office assistant over here, and these are all the things that I did. So
so good.
Wherever you are, your resume is going to get the attention that it deserves.
To talk about what Darren said is that say what you've done in a nice way. Like you can put it in and say, how should I put I made copies on my resume? Don't put I made copies. Like there's another way. I can't think of it right now to say it, but that's not the way.
I played a key role in board meeting preparation. And just go. Is that not what I did?
Right.
That's what she did.
Played an integral role under the senior VP, serving as the liaison. ...
Exactly.
Did I not do that? Don't shortchange yourself.
Don't shortchange.
Yes, I was the office assistant, but I played a key role in board meeting preparation.
Good. I never thought of that.
Whatever contact
by providing the communication documents needed to facilitate.
There you go. Don't act them. That's it.
But
see, words.
But this is what we need for, because sometimes you don't like, you're saying, oh my God, all I can write is I made copies, and you're like, no, I actually facilitated the board meeting happening.
I printed out all the board packets. Okay, so let me write that and give that some real pop.
Mm-hmm.
Let me give that some Janelle. Listen, y'all, this is great conversation. Listen, we're almost. It's 41 minutes. And listen, I'm going to ask you, let's get to the interview and we're going to close it out. What makes, Darren, I'm going to start with you. What makes for the 10 times better interview? What makes an interview? You can ace it. Talk about preparation. What makes for the I want y'all to both think about, because I want y'all to answer that. What will help me to get the job?
Really nothing. There's no substitute for preparation. Researching the company, taking your resume and the job description, putting them side by side, looking at what they say is important, and preparing yourself with a handful of questions as it relates to what they're looking for, and preparing answers, fleshing out answers to the job description. For instance, they say, all right, did you perform night audit? Okay, well, I perform night audit twice a year. From the audit, I give reports to senior management, which goes to corporate. So sit with yourself and a partner if you can. And it's not, one thing you got to remember is, it's not, an interview is a very artificial environment, okay? But it's not Family Feud, right? Steve Harvey isn't standing there saying, name something you do before you go to bed, and you got to hit your hand on, right? And when you're in an interview, when they ask you a question, it's okay to think about it for a second. Okay. Take a breath and say, okay. And again, I can get real technical with this, but in terms of what your eyes are actually saying to an interviewer in the interview, because if you look up, that kind of means one thing. If you look down, that means something else. So just prepare for the interview. Go over it over and over and over again to the point where you're so comfortable and it's so natural. And an interview is, you're just having a conversation about what the value you bring to the table. And the more you prepare, and the more you're going to be so comfortable. And prepare, research the company, research the interviewer as well, if you can, their LinkedIn page. And if they love dogs, don't say
love dogs.
Like dogs during the interview.
Like my brother.
Don't say you don't like dogs. But it's just some things, just preparation. Get those questions in your head and have questions yourself. Not because they want to know, you're really interviewing each other. They want to know that you want to know about the company, right? So at the end, have some questions prepared. Number one question I always ask is, how long have you been with the company? and what has your experience been so far, right? And if they've had a bad experience, you'll see their face. They weren't ready for that question. Their face kind of sprints. You're like, okay, but just questions like that are in, that are engaging questions, and all this stuff you can get online, but preparation is the key.
So good.
Yeah.
Janelle, talk to us. Darren,
Yeah, that was good. I'm going to piggyback on Darren talking about preparation. So I call it know your story. Know your story. Also know your resume. So let's go resume first. There is no reason why I should bring something on your resume and it shock you. So like I always say, a lot of my interviews have been like Zoom calls. So I have within the Zoom call on the side, I have my resume. So when they say bullet so-and-so, I know what they're talking about. Wow. And then I have my story, right? Your story is, what is your professional story, right? You depending on how far you are. So you go about, I would say 5 to 7 years back, if it applies, definitely about 5. Or you're talking about in the last 10 years, what you've been doing, right? And you should be able to say, I did this, and like in a quick way, go through your resume and address the gaps ahead of time. Don't let them say, well, I see there's a gap. Just, you already know they're going to ask. We want to know what you've been doing between 2018 and 2020. Right? And so you need to have a story. Now, I'm not telling you to lie, but I'm also telling you, don't tell your business. So just something that just makes sense. I went back to school. My so-and-so was sick. I took a break to raise my kids. Whatever it is, it needs to be something that I don't have to think too much about. Oh, okay, move on. What's next? Because I'm also trying to gauge who you are as a person. Like as a recruiter, a lot of people like to trick us. You're like, you thought you're lying. So know your story, know your value, know the parts about you that make you special. Sometimes interviewers are not good interviewers. So they might not ask you the right questions to bring out the best answers, but it's your job to get across to them the things that are great about you. So if you got to pivot a question that was about one thing and turn into something else, because you know that if you say this, they're going to write that down. They're going to go tell the hiring manager that. They're going to put that in your scorecard and to discuss it. So you really have to take like the journey within in a professional manner and know how to articulate that. And that goes back to what Darren was saying with prepare. Also, like, think about your transferable skills. I talked about me and Minister Raquel been discussing this. I'm telling you, you can do more than what you think you can do. There are more jobs available to you than you even understand. Get out of the box. You could think about, I don't want to do what I want to do anymore. That's fine. But what other job will use the skills that you were using? I've seen people double their salaries doing something completely different because they weren't afraid to click apply. Just apply. Just try. Now, if you don't want to be uncomfortable, don't do it because it's going to be a stretch position. You're going to walk in here and say, what am I doing? But the person who hired you also knew that. So they just want to know that you're confident. They want to say that you have the skills to get this done, even though it's not in this in this construct. Right. But it's transferable. Once you get acclimated, you're going to be able to succeed here as well. I just want to throw that in there. And then the other thing is, don't take for granted the regular stuff. If you're on Zoom, clean your camera. I got lights on right now. That's why I look so bright. It shouldn't be a mess behind you. I don't care if you got pajamas on at the bottom, but at the top, it needs to be professional. You want to be together. If you're in person, don't wear too much cologne or perfume, because what if you remind them of something like somebody they don't like? You don't want to do that. Brother. Right? You want to be simple. And you want to look at the company. What's the culture? Like, dress according to the culture. Oh, good. And you want to go just a little bit above. So they have jeans and sneakers. Don't wear jeans and sneakers, but put jeans and a blazer with some nice shoes, And so they go, oh, you fit here. You be good for this. So you want to, now like the world is open, so they might call you in. Make eye contact. Have your folder ready. Present yourself as somebody who's a professional. Yeah. And like Darren said, it's okay to take a second. Go back to, I have some notes here. Even when I'm in a Zoom interview, I let them know I have a notebook here. So if you see me looking down, I'm just taking notes. If you see me looking off, I have prepared for the interview. So they don't feel like you're looking at your phone or you're being distracted. Like, think about the other person, how they're experiencing you.
Wow.
And like, go ahead of them and let them understand your setup. And then also thank them and let them know you want the job. I've had hiring managers say, I like them, but I didn't really feel like they wanted to work here. I talked to the candidate, I love it. Don't be prideful, okay? I want the job. I like this company, and I know why I like this company. You guys stand for this, and this correlates with what I stand for. I feel like these skill sets would match with what's going on here. Like, stay humble. And let them know that you want it. And to tie into what Darren was also talking about with have questions, definitely have questions. What's your experience? Even what's like one of the greatest challenges that this person would go through in this role? Something I love to ask, is there any other question you need to ask me to secure the idea in your mind that I'm the right person for this job?
Yeah.
That makes them go back, hey, did I miss anything? Is there any skill set she needs to have that I forgot to ask? You know? So those are my tips for, I feel like, excelling in an interview.
That's so rich. That's so rich. Listen, I mean, Dan, you look like you got something to add.
No, the only other thing I would say is, always try to turn a potential negative into a positive. And not only do that in the interview, but you can kind of do it in your resume as well. And what I mean by that is, if you know there is something that's important to them, or something that even in the job description is lower on the list, if you are an IT professional, I know Janelle does a lot of that, and they're looking for somebody to manage the Cisco, who is managing the Cisco phone system. You don't have that, but maybe you have experience. Maybe you see a parallel. You've managed the Avaya phone system, right? So when they get to that, you don't have that in your resume, but you're in an interview, and be able to draw that parallel and say, this skill that you're looking for, this specific skill, I may not have it, but I have a skill that's parallel, right? To demonstrate that I have the ability to do what you're looking for, right? I'm in the ballpark with you. So, when they say, yeah, you have managing this system, no, that shouldn't be the answer.
That's not the answer.
If you got, and you and look at it, I've told my sister, and that's the key with tailoring your resume. If you spend the time to tailor your resume, you're going to spend more time. But as Janelle said, those companies that you really want to work for, you want to extract from that master resume, which has all your information, and say, okay, this company, I'm trimming this down to 2 pages, and I'm hitting them with everything that I got, and I'm looking at it, and I'm tailoring it to exactly what
I gotta hop on that, Darren. I just want to reiterate: never say I can't do that. I've never done it. You can say I haven't done it, but I've done it in a certain capacity, in a different way. The skills that are needed to do that, I've done that here.
Wow.
Because once you say, oh no, I don't do that, you just told them I'm not the right person for the job. You're wasting, you can end this now. Wow. No. Hey, wait, I never did that, but I did this. The other thing is answer questions in story form. So have you ever, put together reports? Oh yes, I've done that for so-and-so. No, yes. So we have a report for our team, and it has to go out every week, and I am in charge of doing it, and I pull the information from X, Y, and Z. That is more believable than yes and no. So you want to have a story attached to every skill that you have that says, I've done it, and I can tell you how I've done it and how well I've done it. That makes you stand out. And the other thing was, what's your weakness? I like to ask you, what's your strength and what's your weakness?
Yes, that's a key.
Never say it's a weakness. Now, what's your weakness? I really don't get along with people, but I'm working on it. No, it's a trick question. Your weakness is something that used to be weak that's now is strong. It's a testimony. Okay, right there. Your weakness in the interview is a testimony. So mine was, when I have a lot of roles and I'm working on it, sometimes like things would fall through the cracks and things would get out, and I'm trying to get everything done. But now I have implemented time blocking where I block out in my schedule to focus on each rec. That way I get to everything in a day. Oh, that was your weakness, but not really. Right? So that is how you maneuver through that. You don't actually want to say, I'm not good at this thing. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter. You could be honest. It's a game. Okay? Don't do it. So that's a way that you work through that. It's always a weakness that you had previously that you have now worked through.
Darren, do you agree with that?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, that question, I tell people, how to answer it. I say, well, I don't want to focus on any prior weakness. That's exactly, but I may say something, I tried to, do everything without, using a calendar. Now I use the Outlook calendar. I wouldn't give it a lot of time at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of
So
done
good.
with it in 10 seconds. As soon as you ask it, I'm gonna respectfully answer it. Basically say I'm past whatever that small issue.
That's so good, because it used to be that question was, what's a weakness? Oh, I don't know. Something, it was a question. And then people started saying you shouldn't say that. Like, it really is, like I care too much, or I something they would say, and they were like, that's not reality. Like, give us something where you struggled and how did you work through it? And that's really what they wanted to hear. Where was the struggle? And I think mine was more around Janelle's, like, oh, sometimes when I have a lot of tasks, there would be things that could fall through the cracks. But now I put in time management things to help me with scheduling and making sure I stay on task. And that is so. Listen, oh my gosh, we're almost out. Listen, this is my last question. Then we're going to wrap it up really quickly. I want you to give me a soundbite. Let's talk about, because we got a lot of young people, millennials what is social media? How can it help us or kill us with interviews? What is social media presence? What we're writing on social media? How can that affect us with getting a job?
Well, social media is multidimensional. So social media in LinkedIn world, because that is social media,
right?
It should be, if I look at your resume and I like you, I'm pushing you forward, I looked you up.
You do go to.
I do. I live in LinkedIn.
Hear this, people.
You want to, now, not everyone puts a lot of information within like the spaces of the jobs, but like your LinkedIn should match your resume. If like you're somebody completely different on LinkedIn and you're wrong, I either have the wrong person or something's fishy. So, you can also ask for recommendations. So if you work for a manager or you were the TA for like a teaching assistant in college, or you can ask them, can you write me a recommendation on my LinkedIn? Oh, Janelle's great to work with. And so when I go in, I see what other people at higher levels have said about you, which gives almost they recommended you. It gives me a little bit more confidence in you. So I think, especially when you're starting out, even if you volunteered somewhere, you volunteered at a church, whatever, ask the pastor, can you write me a recommendation for the work that I've done? That is very helpful. You can also put your skills in there in your bio when you write about yourself. LinkedIn does AI. Mine is AI generated. My colleague said, Janelle, your bio is amazing. I said, I did not write that. So use that feature. The AI can write it for you to take all your information and make it look beautiful. So
I did not know that.
Yes. And they can also, there's certain ways, and probably I need to do something on this on LinkedIn, and how you can almost send out alerts to all recruiters that I am looking. You can specify it like in a way if you're really looking for a role. So there's just a lot of features within LinkedIn because it is the #1 search engine for candidates that companies use. So that is something to look into. Outside of that, I am also looking you up, especially if you entry level. So if you out here cursing, wearing crazy stuff, make that private. Don't have a public page. Don't put your name attached to it. Make it something, your alter ego. So anything that has your name that I can type you in and find you, it needs to look like this is somebody I would work with. Oh, she looks fun. He looks fun. That looks nice. But if I got a ratchet side, That should not be attached to your first and last name or your email.
Thank
or
you.
it should not be public.
That's right. That's
I
right.
had people not get a job. They do not move forward in the process because they looked them up and said, we do not want somebody, or they said racist things or things that were a little touchy, not knowing that the person doing the interview identifies with that group. Now they don't want to move forward with you. You can't say discrimination because you'll never know. So you want to, your private, your public person should be somebody that you're proud of in every area of your life.
So good.
If you feel like you got to hide it from your grandmama or your mama and daddy, you need to make that a private page. Your public self is somebody that your employer would want to work with and hire.
That's so good. Darren, do you agree, disagree?
I agree 100%. I'll just be real brief because I know we're at the end here. But I remember at a job that I was at where a woman interviewed, and the people who were making a decision about whether or not they were going to hire her, they looked at her Facebook page and they saw that on the day she interviewed, she complained about the interview and said, "Oh, this is just another sales job." That's what she had on Facebook. And I remember them discussing it. She actually got the job, but it's real. Your footprint on the internet, and what your pictures, your Instagram, whatever. People are looking to see what kind of person you are. That's the bottom line. Whether it's fair or not, whether what you do in your private time should be fair or not, they're making a decision based upon their standards.
Yeah.
And you just, as Janelle said, your whatever's out there should be as clean and as bland as possible. That's just the bottom line. So yeah, I would agree. And just Kelly, I'm not sure if you're taking any. I'm sorry, Raquel. I'm not sure if you're taking any questions, but not sure if you saw, but it looks like Labria asked a question at 6:32. So just wanted to mention that.
Thank you. No, we're going to listen. If you guys you all have like 10 more minutes, you can hold on. Just 10 more minutes.
I'm fine.
Janelle, Darren?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah. Anybody, do you have any questions? We're going to go back to Labria's question. And if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. Labria asks, does resume compatibility on LinkedIn work?
I don't know what that is.
I don't know what that is either. Does resume compatibility on LinkedIn work?
So I know there are a couple of things on LinkedIn. I can't remember their names. It may be, there's kind of like the free kind of evaluation that LinkedIn does. I have the name somewhere. And then there's the pay thing that I think you get with premium. So I don't know what compatibility is, but I know that the free one basically will look at your resume and say, hey, your structure is off. You need to have a more accomplishment-based resume. You need to have more active work. So the freebie will give you some good information. The pay piece will they'll actually write your resume for you. Well, they'll work with you to kind of to clean up your resume. So I think whatever's out there especially on LinkedIn, it's all helpful to answer your question. It'll bring you along in the process.
Yeah, there is a function of like it will create a resume for you from your LinkedIn profile.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Yeah, don't use that.
Don't use it.
Don't use it. You could use it to like help you get a basis on somewhere to start with information.
Okay. That's good.
But the recruiter knows you didn't write it.
That's so good.
We get it. All looks the same. It doesn't format well. It gets funky quick.
That's so good to know.
Yeah, I would say.
Does the paid premium do better with LinkedIn if we're paying for premium?
Well,
with resume writing?
No, go ahead, Janelle.
Oh no, go ahead.
No, I was going to say I think what Janelle just mentioned is the free
right.
piece. right? The what they do when you pay is going to be a little bit more specific to your situation, and you'll get a little bit more interaction from LinkedIn. Whereas the other piece is like Janelle said,
Right.
it does it for you. It kind of has a look. I've always felt that's still helpful, right?
Mm-hmm.
But as Janelle said, if folks recruiters out there kind of know that kind of that canned resume, you probably want to stay away from it. But the other piece I do have experience with, where they actually do help you with the writing, and it does help.
It's good. So listen, does anybody else have any questions? Thank you, Janelle and Darren, for that comprehensive answer. Does anybody else have any questions? Take this moment to ask. No question is too silly. Going once, going twice. Okay, there are no questions right now. You guys were, whoo, this was I learned even more just sitting and listening to you guys. I mean, everybody, can y'all give Janelle and Mr. Darren Pittman, Miss Janelle Boyd a hand clap for their wonderful insight? Listen, again, this is about helping us to be 10 times better in our approach in the marketplace. And this was so rich. This was so rich. And I appreciate your expertise and your knowledge, and just the way you guys shared such great information. I mean, I'm serious. I learned so much from the both of you tonight. It was just absolutely amazing. And I'm so thankful to all of you, to both of you, for coming on tonight and just sharing your time and just your wealth of knowledge. And we are grateful for what you've done. And so thank you so much. And listen, I want to listen, guys, if you want to sow tonight, there, we have an opportunity. We don't ever want to take this for granted when we have these wonderful guests. If you want to be a part of sowing into this type of I would say resource rich ministry where we're going to feed you spiritually and naturally, you can take the moment and you can sow into Cash App with at $ uncompromised, and or at paypal.me/EBTSM, which means Empowered by the Spirit Ministries, or you can go to us online at empoweredbythespiritministries.com, and sow into what we shared tonight. I'm so thankful for all of you. Again, every dime goes into supporting and increasing this ministry. Listen, the more partners I get, the more forums like this I can do on a more consistent basis, because I want the body of Christ to be empowered and helped and resourced to go into the systems of the world where we can bring the kingdom of God in a powerful way. And so these are the conversations that will help us do it. So let's again thank God. Thank you, my brother, my loving brother Darren. Miss Janelle, boy, you know my heart. I love you so much. Thank you again. And listen, guys, I just want to say this before they go. These are the type of conversations that we're going to be having at the Large Uncompromised coming on December 9th. You need to be there. It's going to be ministry and preaching, but we also want you to be impacted by powerful, informative conversations like these that will help you to think, process, and take these resources so that you can do better out there in the systems of the world. Thank you so much, Emmanuel and Brianni and Eric and Labrie and Summer. Thank you all for being on tonight and being part of this conversation. Darren, I love you. Janelle, I love you. Thank you so much.
Love you as
I would
well.
say
Love
peace
you.
out, everybody.
All right.
Thank you. So again, everybody, thank you for joining me for this powerful night. I know you are blessed. I can feel tonight, and I'm so thankful for Darren and Janelle coming on and sharing the resources. And again, if you want to sow into what you heard tonight and you want to partner with this ministry, here are the giving opportunities. And any seed, no seed is too small. We thank you for your partnership. Every seed goes into the ministry to help us do forums like this. And so I thank God for each and every one of you. Listen, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube page so you can be a part of more conversations like this, make sure you click that button under Uncompromised Movement and that says subscribe, and make sure you subscribe so that you can be notified anytime we're going live, anytime we're doing anything, whether it be on the Uncompromised Gathering or I'm coming on just to minister. I did a series a couple of months ago called Get Unstuck, and the response from that was amazing. People were like, Minister Pittman, you hit some nuggets about people being stuck in their mentality, their emotions, things from their past. And listen, these are the conversations that I want to bring to you more and more. As God gives it to me, I want to give it to you. And the Lord put this on my heart to do this because I believe that God has some great jobs, great careers, great things he wants to do. And we need to be prepared so that we can go and be unprecedentedly blessed, and so that we can outpace and outmatch the world in what they do. Amen. Amen. So listen, I love you. God loves you best. And remember this, until next time, to stay, please stay uncompromised. God bless. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.